In order to make that money that you want, in order to get that life that you want, in order to achieve those dreams that you want, you need to build self-discipline, because you already know what you need to do. You need to wake up earlier. You need to work out. You need to focus on your business. You already know what you need to do, but what you struggle with is actually doing those things, because you often find yourself quitting on yourself, and you often find yourself starting things and then stopping. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you how you can start building up self-discipline so you actually can achieve a lot of these things and stay consistent with them. So first, I want to start out with a philosophy. A philosophy that I feel like is very good for self-discipline is Stoicism. So if you're not familiar with the philosophy is, it's basically a way of life. When you are doing things, this is the mindset, or why you do things. This is kind of the mindset that you have around particular things. And I'm going to explain Stoicism so you can possibly understand it a little bit more. So Stoicism is the endurance of pain or hardship without the display of feelings and without complaint. So basically, when you have a Stoicism philosophy upon life and how you look at life, you do hardship things without complaint, without really putting feelings into them. And I think that's something that a lot of us need to start implementing and start of our lives, is a sense of stoicism. Because one of the biggest things that gets us when it comes to hardship, when it comes to hard things, is our feelings. We want to feel a particular way when we do certain things, and if we don't feel that way, we don't do those things, right? Or if we feel a certain way, we don't do things. Think about when you have to wake up in the morning. You tell yourself, well, I'm waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever the case may be. And then you get up in the morning and you're like, I don't feel like it. You need to go to the gym. You know you got that vacation coming up. You just want to get healthier. I don't feel like it. I feel like that's one of the things that gets us, is we tie feelings to so many things. You're never going to feel like it. So I feel like when you have that stoicism philosophy and you look at things from that perspective, you no longer do things with the sense of feeling. You do them with the sense of just doing them. And also taking away complaint too. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I used to be a big complainer. If you worked with me, you know, when I first started working, that's one thing I used to do. I used to complain about everything because I'd just be so annoyed. Like, oh my gosh, these customers are annoying me. Oh my gosh, this is not working. That's not working. Like, I always would complain. And when you have the idea of stoicism, you take things for what they are. You get what I'm saying? And I feel like now that I have, you know, gotten older and I'm more wiser, you might say, I honestly don't complain as much. Don't get me wrong, I still complain about certain things, but a lot of times I accept things for what they are, especially when it comes to hardships, especially when it comes to discipline and doing things, because my complaining is not going to change this thing. You get what I'm saying? I feel like when you have the idea of complaining around things, your brain, your subconscious remembers that. So if you're constantly complaining in the morning, when you're constantly doing things and complaining, your subconscious remembers that and has the idea, we don't like this thing. This thing is not a good thing. And oftentimes, people who complain often usually complain about the same thing or the same context all the time, even without even thinking about it. For the simple fact that their brain is so used to them complaining, their brain gets even negative feelings towards that thing. It could be work, it could be the gym, it could be whatever it has to be, and it's because you complain. So that's one thing I try to do. Like, I just have to do this thing. I'm not going to complain about it because I don't want my brain to get a negative connotation to this thing and then make me not want to do it. Now, another thing I want individuals to think about, going off of the whole feelings thing, you do not have to explain to yourself why. Now, in the reverse, you do need a why on why you do things, right? An understanding. And I think your why should be long term. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in the video. But when you're literally doing things, do not allow yourself to ask yourself why, because all you're doing is wasting time and you're trying to make up an excuse. For example, when I first start waking up earlier, I would literally be in my bed and I would be like, you know, my alarm go off and I would be like, why do I have to get up? And then I would try to explain to myself, like, but I really asked myself, like, why are we doing this? But like, okay, but could we like sleep? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to build up some kind of, I don't know, motivation, not really motivation, but like I thought I was doing it in a way of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna remember my why, right? We might say that. Oh yeah, if I ask myself, I'm gonna remember my why, and that's gonna motivate me to get up. No, I used to get into arguments with myself in the bed, literally. And I would be like, why? Because you said you wanted to wake up, but can we wake up a little bit later? Cause you know, we'll get a little bit more sleep. Like mentally, I was doing that with myself. And even the same thing for the gym. But why do I have to go to the gym? Well, you know, you said you wanted to get into shape, but yeah, but could I possibly go later? Treat yourself as a child who has a schedule. If you have a 5-year-old child, and it's 12 o'clock at night and you tell them to go to sleep and they say why, you don't need to explain to a 5-year-old why. To a certain extent. Like I get it, some people, you know, soft parenting, whatever, because you have school in the morning, but at the same time, it's better after. I personally feel like. I feel like it's better. It's not saying you shouldn't explain to yourself just as well as you shouldn't explain to that child, but do not allow that to become a banter, because that's going to become something that's going to continuously happen. No, this is what you have to do. We already previously said this. This isn't just some random thing. I've previously explained to you why. If you want to know why again, we can talk about it after you do this thing, right? When you wake up in the morning, when you leave the gym. But we're not going to do this before, because all you're trying to do is convince yourself why you shouldn't. You think you're trying to convince yourself why you should. No, I'm trying to remind myself, because it goes with the Stoicism. You just have to do it. We have to take our emotions out of a lot of these things and just do it. Don't ask yourself why you want to go to the gym. You already watch 30 gym videos, you got 60 saved gym workouts, you bought the gym clothes, you already know why. So don't sit here and convince yourself, oh, I have to explain to myself why because I might forget and I don't know my purpose. You do. You're just trying to make up excuses. And a lot of times, either that's going to waste a lot of time, which will happen to me. I realize I'm in the bed for 30, 40 minutes longer. Now I done messed up my whole gym schedule. Or you just all around don't do it at all. And you convince yourself, actually, I can sleep in and I'll go later. And then we always know later turns into later, turns into later, turns into tomorrow, turns into next week, turns into next month, turns into next year. So do not allow yourself to ask yourself why, just do it, and then allow yourself to explain after, hey, this is why I did it. And usually 9 times out of 10, you feel better, and you don't even have to explain to yourself why, because you already know. Another thing, I want you to understand when it comes to having goals and, you know, you're trying to have discipline around things, like I said, you definitely need to think of them in the long term, right? And I think what messes up a lot of times is we are thinking so short term. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately myself. I'm turning 24 years old. I feel like I'm getting really up there. I feel like I'm getting up there, right? I joke around with my friends, but I always say we're 30. But now that I'm saying it, it sounds kind of crazy. I say that to say, think of things in the long term. One of the things that messed me up with a lot of my goals and building self-discipline is because I really had a lot of the things based on a very short time period. So right before a trip, you know, I'm working out really hard because I want to work out for that trip. Maybe it's I want to pay for something for, you know, a trip, or maybe I want to pay for something, I'm moving or something like that. And so I'm working really hard to make more money, or to whatever, you get what I'm saying, do something for that time period. I think one thing we need to start realizing is that the quicker you get something is the quicker you lose something. And I realized that a lot being a content creator, being in the social media space. I was so heavily dependent on getting things so fast. I wanted things so fast, whether it was followers, whether it was money, all these things. And I lost a lot of them just as fast, if not faster than I got them, because I was not looking at things in the long term. And I think a lot of times too, with all these rich quick plans and all these schemes and different things like that, like, you don't want nothing fast. I'm telling you now, you do not want anything fast, whether it's making money, whether it's getting your body together, or it's even getting your life together. Look at it as a lifetime, or long-term thing. It's hard for you to build self-discipline because you're only trying to discipline yourself for a short period of time. And so it's easy to convince yourself, okay, well, I could go to the gym later because, you know, I'm only going for this birthday trip. Oh, I could do this tomorrow because... No, you're doing this for a long period of time. You need to have long-term goals. You need to start thinking about your 5 years goals and your 10-year goals, because imagine a lot of stuff you said even 5 years ago that you possibly wanted to do, but you were on the fence about. Imagine if you were doing those things for 5 years. Whether it was that business, whether it was working out, think about how far ahead you would have been. And I think a lot of times it's easy to look at the future as like an unattainable thing and a weary thing, and I don't know, but it's like you can have more control over your future. You can have more control over the things that you achieve using self-discipline. But a lot of times it doesn't work because we never think that far. We're thinking very short-minded. How can I make money to pay my bills this month, my car insurance, my bot? Like, you need to start thinking long term when it comes to these things, right? Do not do things for the temporary. Think about things long term. And so that goes into another thing I wanted to talk about. Do not confuse opportunity as if it's not a distraction, because a lot of times opportunity comes as a distraction. And this is different things depending on different kinds of goals that you have. But I've noticed that a lot too, going back to being a content creator and all these different things. A lot of times things will come as opportunities, right? It's an opportunity to make more money. It's an opportunity to get your body together faster. And when you are just doing you're trying to get things fast, you're not thinking of things in the long term. A lot of these opportunities and these fast things can come to you, and they can make you, I'm so sorry, excuse me, I'm not gonna act like I didn't do that. They can come to you and they can make you feel as though they are good for you. But then if you notice, a lot of times the things that seem as opportunities, there's always another opportunity. There's always another opportunity. And when you're not thinking about things long term, it does not necessarily mean you can't jump on an opportunity. It doesn't mean you can't go after an opportunity. But then you know the difference between, hey, does this opportunity coincide with my long-term goal? Or is this opportunity just trying to get me something quick real fast? Because a lot of times, a lot of us, and I can say including myself, and this one thing I'm getting out of, I'm an opportunity hopper. Anytime, especially when it comes to content creation and business, I'm always trying to find a new opportunity to do something. Even if I know I may not genuinely like that thing, even if I know I may not genuinely be into that thing, and so on and so forth, if it looks like an opportunity, I'm trying to grab it. And a lot of us are. Don't get me wrong. Like, listen, we are in a crazy, financial state right now. I'm not oblivious to that, but I can honestly say you can't change that. I think I'm realizing that as well. Like we like to think that, oh, if I just make more money, you'll make life better. Or if I just da. No, I'm telling you, do the things long term. These opportunities aren't nothing but distractions. They're trying to distract you from your goal. But it's easy for them to distract you when you do not have a long-term goal. You have a short-term goal. So it doesn't seem like it's really affecting that much stuff, but it actually is. So I think that's something that a lot of people need to think about as well. Now, this is one that I actually have struggled with and I've been trying to get out of. And a lot of times I tell people to go to your childhood. Your childhood a lot of times can point to so many things. And I have a sense of learned helplessness. Learned helplessness is in a sense when you have this mindset about certain things and you have certain ramifications as far as you can't do certain things because you have not done them before. Or you've felt helpless in certain areas, whether it was losing weight, whether it was making money, whether it was whatever the case may be. And so when it comes to that thing, you feel helpless. And it becomes a learned helplessness because over time, it feels like that's like the hot zone. Can't touch it. Like, I don't know, whatever I do, I can't lose weight. Whatever I do, I can't make more money. But it's a learned thing because you felt that way for so long about yourself that you feel like you can't do that thing. I've talked about this before, but you've let yourself down so much that you feel like when it comes to this thing, you will never know how to do it. And I feel like I felt that way too, right? And the worst thing is when you think you get out of your learned helplessness, but it really was just a loop. And I say that to say growing up, financially, it wasn't, I grew up with a single mom. It wasn't the easiest, to say the least. That when I got older, I'm like, I'm going to be good financially and I'm going to make sure I'm this and I'm going to make sure I'm that. And then I did, right? At first became a content creator. I've talked about this before. I became a content creator really fast, made a lot of money. Well, that time period, for me, a lot of money, quit my 9-to-5, all these other things. And then I went back in the hole, and getting out of it, I was like, how am I supposed to do this? I don't know how to do this. That happened for two reasons. One, I didn't have self-discipline because I was only thinking it was short term. So a lot of the stuff that was making me money, it was short-term stuff. Yes, it was good money, but I was focusing on making how much money I was making every month. I wasn't looking at how much money am I making in a year. How much money am I making in 2 years? And then it also became a thing of this learned helplessness. When I lost that money, it put me in a worse position than even before I had it, because it brought me back to my childhood. And now that I'm looking at things differently, it's even harder a lot of times. I'm not gonna lie, like I'm learning myself how to get out of learned helplessness, because a lot of times when it comes to money, I feel like it's a hot zone. I'm scared about it. I feel like my mind can't think of new ways. I feel like I can't do certain things when it comes to that. And it's because I have a learned helplessness. I have a box, I have a cap on what I feel like I can do, the possibilities in which I feel like I can do. When it comes financially, I could honestly say. And one thing that's definitely been helping me is what I'm consuming. And I think that's one of the last things that I want to talk about when it comes to your self-discipline, right? What are you consuming? Your consumption, your surroundings is very imperative. And I'm learning this too. Like I told you guys, I'm going through a very interesting journey when it comes to just my life, career, content creation, everything. And I've been trying to get my life together, so to speak. So whether it's financially, mentally, physically, all these things. And not to get into it too much, I tried a 75-day challenge. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I did not complete everything on a challenge. Certain things I did do for 75 days, but I did not basically I didn't do it. Because if you ain't do everything, you ain't do it all. And I say that to say though, when it happened, when I stopped the 75-day challenge, for a couple weeks, I was worse than before. Because I was writing so long on this, 75 days this, 75 days, that, right? And that was always my excuse. Oh, well, I'm doing this for 75 days. Oh, for 75 days, yeah, I'm not doing this. And then once that was taken away from me, I didn't have an excuse no more. This is your life. You get what I'm saying? Like, you don't have an excuse. Oh, I got to go to the gym because I'm doing a 75-day challenge. I have to wake up early because I'm doing a 75-day challenge. Now, this is just you. And so one thing that helped me, during that time period, I can honestly say was my consumption. From the podcast that I was listening to, I can promise y'all, in the YouTube videos I was watching, mainly podcasts, I can honestly say, because I listen to them while I'm just in the house or in the gym. They help me stay consistent because I choose to listen to podcasts. I choose in general just to consume content of individuals that are doing things that I want to do in life. Individuals who I look at as mentors. And so the great thing about that was that when it came to my self-discipline, when I was down on myself, when I was like, I can't do this, when I was like this, I was like that, constantly, every single day though, I'm listening to people who are doing what I want to do in places and spaces that I want to be, whether it's financially, whether it's mentally, whether it's wellness. I'm listening to them and they're talking about the things that they do. And I know I want to be like that individual, and you know what I'm saying, in certain aspects. So I'm like, you know what? I need to start doing things that coincide. I need to become that kind of person. If I want to achieve that thing, I need to become that kind of person. And even I've created a second Instagram. I had my main Instagram from like years ago, which we all have, but I created a second one where I only follow people who are motivational to me. I only follow, I don't even follow friends on there, if you really want to be honest. Like, I just follow people who I look up to as mentors. And so I only stuck to that Instagram too. I got off the other one. I only stuck to that one. I made sure I listened to podcasts. I made sure I wasn't listening to music that was talking about BS or whatever. Like, I really was focusing on what am I consuming? What is going inside of me? And I honestly can say that helped with my self-discipline and putting me back on track, because I'm constantly getting poured into with individuals who are doing things that I want to do, giving me a sense of direction. And I feel like sometimes when a lot of us don't have those mentors in real life, or those people in real life that can guide us and all these different things, that's a great thing to help with self-discipline. Consuming things on a day-to-day basis that remind you. They do it without doing it. They say it without saying it. Hey, you ain't doing right. If you constantly every single day listening to people talking about waking up at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., and you waking up at 10 a.m., eventually you're going to be like, all right, this ain't right. This ain't, you get what I'm saying? And at least you have the knowledge that people are doing differently. And you can say to yourself, hey, I want this life for myself, but I'm going in this direction. And a lot of successful people have a lot of things that align. Like, if you listen to certain things, a lot of them, everyone is different, but a lot of them have key things they do that match up together in different industries and different spaces. And so if you're looking at it and you like, well, I'm doing completely this and they doing completely that, you realize I need to start shifting over. But it's easy to forget those things. It's easy to not remember those things or acknowledge those things when you constantly listen to BS, when you not constantly listen to individuals who are uplifting you or motivating you while you go to the gym or on your way to work or while you cleaning in the house. And I think that's one thing that I've definitely been doing, and it's helping me. It helped me so much when I get off track. It's like listening to these people and I know they're where I want to be. They help remind me that there's light at the end of the tunnel, because it could feel like you're doing things by yourself. It could feel like it's just you. But I'm telling you, listening to individuals who are doing what you want to do in spaces that you want to be will make it so much better. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I don't talk about it much, but I also will link below my podcast. I actually do have a podcast. I don't talk about it on here because it's not visual, but I'll link that below. And thank y'all, and have a great one. And don't forget, y'all, I forgot. Don't forget, the new schedule is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Okay, I'm staying consistent. We're going to have new videos, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Thank you all. Have a great one.